Hello, y'all. I am back again on this exercise bike and ready again for another video. So, this video is going to be about the first person to ever call the narcissist this. And this is the word, a psychopath. Now, of course, you're going to break no contact at least once to be able to get this out in the open. But it's very essential for your healing, and it is appropriate in some cases. And I will explain to you when and why it may be appropriate to use this word one time. And you don't have to use it directly. It is many ways it can be used. And I will explain to you some of those ways that word can be used. So, listen in, y'all. It can be used through a text message, through your attorney, through a court mediator. There's no profanity when this is used. No profanity at all. Just simple. Tell the psychopath whatever the name is. And when this message is sent, this is why, in some cases, it may be important for you. For one, through grieving, if there was a death in the family or something like that, if there was abuse subjected upon you by this psychopath and you controlled your temper, and it's been some months, okay, and you're going through this grieving process, the psychopath knows something is wrong, okay, and this is why it's important. Maybe at this time, or maybe essential, to get it on out there. It's a psychopath. It's somebody that has no conscience. This particular psychopath, I've known since high school, y'all. And I can remember there was things said even when I was in high school, like, he's fake. He's not right. Something ain't right with that man. He's a coward. It was a lot of things. And I'm talking about by other male students that was in this high school. And this psychopath carried this smile. Look up this case, y'all. Sweetie Pies. Okay. The owner of Sweetie Pies. It's a famous soul food restaurant in St. Louis, Missouri. Her son murdered her grandson for insurance, for life insurance. He set up his own nephew, which was his mother's grandson. And they found him guilty. He's in prison right now. And I think his name was Tim Norman, the murderer, right? This particular psychopath I'm talking about kind of reminds you of Tim Norman in a way. And I'm mentioning Tim Norman, which is the son of the owner of Sweetie Pies that set up this murder. He had these people kill his own nephew. And it looks like nothing's wrong with Tim Norman, right? I mean, he looks handsome. He even sat on talk shows after the death of his nephew and his mother's grandson and was acting like he hopes they find the killer. Praying with the family. I mean, he went the whole 9 yards, knowing the whole time he did it, y'all. So, of course, Tim Norman is obviously a psychopath. I don't really think he has much conscience about what he did. And another thing, even on his jail photo, he was smiling. Now, I'm not saying smiling is bad. I love to smile. However, a lot of times that can throw people off And so I went through a great healing process with this death that I had in the family, and this psychopath that was kind of in control of this situation is just horrible. But another thing is, okay, what I did when I went into this funeral with my immediate relative dealing with this psychopath, I went in with a good foot. When I say that, I went in, I even wrote a nice letter because I felt bad that the psychopath was actually dealing with the complete situation for this particular adult that passed. This is an adult that passed, not a child, y'all. Not a little girl, not a little boy, not no teenage boy, not no teenage girl. And there was just all this anger and animosity. And this is why I feel there was so much of it too. The psychopath knows that what I wrote about him is not who he really is. I wrote nice things. I wrote nice things about the way that he did things, the acts that he did that could appear to be quote unquote kind in some way, right? Or coming from a good portion of the heart. And there was all this animosity and just wickedness. I never in my life, I'm a writer, y'all. I never in my life wrote something that kind about somebody and got that kind of result. There was all kind of, it was just unnecessary. Like when you write something kind, he had his flying monkeys analyzing it, saying stuff like it should be more about the person that died. When somebody writes something from a good part of their heart, if somebody died that was close to me, and say they were paralyzed, they were in a power chair, and somebody wrote something about me and how great of a bond I had with my relative that was in a power chair that was paralyzed. And they just were commending me for the great job I had done. And they brought up memories of me and my paralyzed relative. It wouldn't really matter. It's a kind letter, right? It's a kind thing to say. See, I don't really analyze stuff like that, but there was all this drama and analyzing what I wrote. When I wrote it from my soul, I wrote it from the goodness of my heart. And to be honest, I'm going to tell you something. When you write stuff, if you're a writer, a lot of times people be jealous because they have the inability to write what you wrote. And I kind of got a sense of that, I'm not saying that the person that was telling him that it wasn't a good letter. The person mentioned, okay, maybe the letter would have been more appropriate if he had died. But how many people analyze stuff like that? But when I look back on it in hindsight, that psychopath knows in his soul he ain't no good. So it really, this is just my opinion. I feel like if I had truly wrote that about somebody that was good natured, for real, and confident in who they really are, in the real sense of the word, I don't think it would have been so much animosity behind it. I was out of town. There was not a lot that I could do per se. I was pretty much in kind of a no contact. I had been discarded by this particular person that had died. We weren't on speaking terms. Maybe I shouldn't say discarded. We were estranged relatives. We were not speaking. There was drug abuse issues. I cut off the supply. So once I cut off all supply, the main part being money. I refused to give this particular person any money. And the reason I made that choice is because the immediate relative was very disrespectful. just wasn't kind, basically kind of like similar to the psychopath I'm talking about. You got to remember, or I'm going to just share this immediate relative that passed is a relative of the psychopath also, if that makes sense. So today I took a stand. I know, we preach about no contact and stuff like that. However, in this particular case, since I use so much temperament control, because this will end up turning into a legal matter, y'all. At some point, there's going to be legal proceedings, because this is a situation that there's things that just have to be resolved. It just can't go on like this. So it will be some form of legal proceedings. And I'm not saying I'm going after the kids, or I'm going to take the nieces or nephews or grandkids or whomever is involved, but it just has to be that way. It just has to be that way. There is going to be some kind of legal proceeding. I don't care if the psychopath at some point, because the psychopath is an older gentleman, I don't care if it ended up being a legal proceeding because he died, and then there's kids and there's other people affected. There will be legal proceedings at some point. It just has to work out that way. It has to be something that is addressed. It just will be addressed at some point. Now ain't the time. You got to do things at the Lord's time, y'all. You got to learn when it's time to say something. I sent those 2 messages. I sent the message saying, tell this to the particular psychopath. And what I did, I quoted some biblical references. Okay. And no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No good luck came to the immediate relative. This is old news. Basically people repeat what's already happened to you. They try to repeat history. It just won't work. It won't work because, for one, I'm out of town. So I'm able to move and navigate in my life without having to be under the constant torment of this particular psychopath. So it's very beneficial to me to be out of town. One of the flying monkeys that's close to him, or not just a flying monkey, they use that word. I don't really like the term, y'all. We'll say an associate, relative, or whatever, even asked me, was I going to move to the state that the death happened, and I would be in the same state with the psychopath. I was not treated well when I went in that state. I do plan on going back to Texas to visit. However, moving there, no, I would not do that. I don't have enough support. My friends and people that I'm very close to are here, and I just wouldn't put myself in that position. But they probably would prefer that, so they could do more of like a emotional attack. Because when I went into Texas, I wasn't allowed to see the other relatives that are minors. And see, with psychopaths, they don't care about looking out for the kids. At the end of the day, when kids are not allowed to know their relatives, it's hurting the kids. Relatives that will teach them something, relatives that are protectors. This is what I am. I would have things to teach them. I'm protective. I'm mature. I'm at the right place in my life. The psychopath, at the end of the day, he may have a job and all of that, a company and all of that. He's an alcoholic, okay? I don't consider him functional. Maybe in the past I would have said, okay, he's functional and he drinks sometimes. He's not functional. Was threatening me and stuff like that, using profanity, had the woman he with threatening me and stuff like that. So he's not functional. He don't mean them kids no well. He really, in the real sense of the word, didn't mean the relative that passed away no well. Not in the real sense of the word. You got to remember this. A lot of psychopaths, like this particular psychopath, when I look back on a lot of the good deeds that I would have thought was good deeds, he did that to make himself look good. Oh, well, I came to such and got such and such. And then he was a big liar. This particular relative that went down there to live in the same state that he's in, there was no court, nothing. Nobody contacted him from no court or anything like that to come get this particular relative. I actually made that call to this particular psychopath. He's a compulsive liar. Okay, he was on the phone in front of the lady that he's with saying that I didn't contribute nothing to the funeral. Just saying a bunch of lies. And I did. I gave $200. But see, this is the thing with this psychopath. Even with the person that's his relative that passed away, they thought somebody was supposed to pay them. Like you owe them money, like you need to be paying them. Almost like how a pimp would act. Kind of like a pimp mentality. You got to pay my pockets. You're not good enough unless you pay in my pockets. And I wasn't going to do it. I'm not going to pay their pockets. It's no reason to. For one, they don't deserve it. And it's just not my position to be doing that. I'm just not going to be a supply source for some out-of-town psychopaths that want to get paid. And even one of my relatives in the state that I'm in made the comment, yes, about money, Mom. You know, they probably want money, and I'm just not giving it. I mean, I have my own priorities here. I was genuinely trying to extend a hand. I understood that the person that passed away has children, and I just genuinely wanted to be somebody in their life and be a support. You know, some of the greatest people in my life that I loved lived out of town. I remember my cousins used to come visit me when I used to live in St. Louis when I was a little girl. They would come way from Detroit because I got cousins and relatives that lived in Detroit, Michigan. And they would come way to Detroit and come to my grandmother's restaurant and visit us when we were kids. And I remember those visits being so special. And a lot of my relatives in Detroit were Facebook friends at this point. And it's nice because I'm not just looking at pictures of people I never met. I actually bonded and developed a genuine love for my relatives. So what I did was, this is one of the first times I did this move this way, as far as sending a message and referring to this individual as a psychopath. Many psychologists and psychiatrists are going to miss the correct diagnosis a lot of times. A lot of them won't even diagnose him as a psychopath. And it's many reasons for that. A lot of times they don't want to lose a client. You know, this is a high-paying client. I see this client twice a week. I know he's a psychopath, but I don't want to upset him and tell him that and then lose him as a client. He or she may not come back to therapy. And remember, when you're sending the message, I sent it to 2 people addressing the person as a psychopath. There's people behind closed doors that refers to him as a narcissist. I started there. But see, as you come into more knowledge, you realize that they're not just narcissists. Somebody that's been playing on women, faking, doing wickedness, selling drugs, beating up on women. You never know. He might have even murdered some people. He's an ex-drug dealer, maybe a current drug dealer, potential down low brother. There's a lot of things that could be going on with this man. The red flags are all there, even from some people suspecting he's a down low brother. I mean, you got to really look at it. A lot of cheaters and players, they mess with men too, y'all. They do. There's a lot of psychological issues going on with this crazy man. Like, I really thank the Lord that I didn't end up stuck with this nut. I ended up going out of town at a very young age because I live on the West Coast. And I just really thank the Lord that I didn't end up stuck in that situation. It was almost like, even though me moving out of town and the marriage I got into didn't work out, I still was being freed from something. And that was the psychopath that lives in Texas, that used to live in St. Louis. I still was being saved from something without even realizing it. And so that's just how things will work out. I mean, you'll be saved from something and not even realize it, you know? And that was the move I made. And in my case, because it will end up being discussed at some point in some kind of legal matter, I don't know how, as of right now, the Lord will guide me into that, but it will be discussed. I felt confident in sending these messages. Never send a message you wouldn't want a lawyer to read. When you send messages, it is not a crime to say, send this to the psychopath. And if I had to explain why I feel that this is a psychopath, why do I feel like this man is fake and has pretty much no conscience, I would have many acts that this man has did, not just to me, to other women and men, to explain. I could explain to a judge clearly why this man is a psychopath. And remember, I have this YouTube channel. So if they say, well, okay, what credibility do you have? I do plan on getting my certified life coach certification. I do plan on getting that at some point. And it's not that hard to get, but I think something like that would be fun. I also know another sister, couple of brothers and sisters, you know, throughout the way, not biologically, but I think they would be good at it too. I just do. So if I see that skill and that love in a person's heart where they're pretty much already helping people, why not get paid for it? I mean, certified life coaches make good money, y'all. And you could do it from home, right from your tablet or your computer or your phone, whatever you're using. You can actually make some good money on the side, and it's your own business. So that's something I plan on doing, but I've studied. I watched the videos from the doctors. I just had my cousin tell me about a week or two ago that I should have got in the field of psychology. So that was kind of like a compliment. So I actually study on these things. And so there's some merit to what I'm saying. And so I sent these messages. I won't discuss it. I'm not going to answer my phone. The messages are the messages. If those messages were to be shown to someone else, they're credible. It's no violence. It's no threat. It's no nothing. I'm speaking about the Lord. I'm saying that I don't approve of what this psychopath is doing. Just the evil deed that he's doing to me, that alone, someone could read that and say, oh, I could see why she thinks he's a psychopath. That's pretty cruel. So I won't send any more messages. I won't be in a realm where I'm considered harassing someone. However, you just might be the first one to address him or her as a psychopath. Go ahead and address it. Don't be scared. If the person's out of town, they're not in your face, they can't shoot you, they can't do nothing. The psychopath may look it up and be like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, they cheat, they don't have a conscience, they abuse people, they be fake but miserable on the inside. That's how I am when I'm drunk. I'm sure, yeah, I'm a miserable drunk. Yeah, I mean, you just never know. But a lot of times they'll think you won. But it won't be no real evidence of that for you, especially once you've tested as someone that's empathic, y'all. So that was the step I took. And like I said, in my case, because there will be some form of contact through some form of a legal proceeding, through some form of a mediation, there will be something that will have to be done in the future. I got a lot going on, y'all. I had a lot of issues dealing with the school district and trying to navigate my son's education. And my son is doing wonderful. I'm so proud of him and the strength that he's using to stay in school. He's on time. I'm just really proud of him. Sometimes he may think I'm a little hard on him. He's my baby boy. However, I'm motivating him and I'm supporting him in being in school. My other son got back in school. He started trying to get back on track. He was struggling a little, so I'm proud of him for doing what he's done. My older son, I'm just proud of him too. He's already went through all the trials and tribulations of completing his education. I'm just so proud of all my sons and my daughters. I really am. And so I just want peace for my children and just for them to be able to live great lives. However, y'all, I'm excited today. I'm like, wow, I called him a psychopath. Like, I just feel so free, y'all. He ain't just what his name is no more. You give this message to the psychopath and then list their name after, whether they male or female. Go ahead and do it. Just say, you know, what they're doing is not right. Send it to one or two good people. They'll read it to the psychopath. They'll do a copy and paste to the psychopath. The psychopath will get that message. Don't elaborate on it. You send a message. It's just like if your attorney sends the message. Your attorney don't answer calls and argue with the people. Your attorney just sends the letter. And that's the same way you're going to do it. And so I felt a sense of freedom because when I was being subjected to the verbal abuse before and after the funeral happened, I had to remain silent because that's what the Lord told me to do. So it was interesting to see what I could write when I came out of the silence. Because another thing, the psychopath, when you remain silent and you don't react to violence with violence, they're wondering what you're thinking. And I ended that message with, what a horrible man, shaking my head. He's just a horrible man. That psychopath is a horrible man. And now they know that you know what they are. They know now. So the cards are on the table. No more friendship. You just know what they are now. And if they didn't know, they know what they are now too. They always knew that there's something. That's why they drink and use the drugs And then the empaths that they've affected and harmed, they're using the drugs and drinking too. It's just that the empaths that they've harmed that are drinking and using the drugs, they're doing it because of that psychopath and the harm that the psychopath has brought them. So this is something new for me. I'm going through a new journey. I know there's a lot of stuff about no contact, but as I said, in this case, it just won't be able. There's going to be some kind of outcome at some point. I don't care if it's a year from now, 2 years from now. It just has to be more that happens. It just will be. It just has to be that way. It just has to. Because you just got to take care of your business, y'all. There's business that has to be taken care of. And that's another way you respond too, is through taking care of the business through a legal proceeding. You address that psychopath. That psychopath may show that to the judge or a mediator or whomever's dealing with the situation. That could open up a door for you to say, yes, he's a psychopath. That's why he's doing this to me, Your Honor. You just never know how far a message may go. That psychopath may use that message against you. However, it may actually help you if the right person reads it. So I hope this helps y'all. I've been on this exercise bike. Let me see. I can't see this because I'm doing this video during the daylight hours, y'all. So yeah, just be motivated. I wouldn't recommend doing this in person. Don't call a psychopath this in person because you do want to stay in no contact in the physical realm. Stay out of their face. Stay out of their presence, especially when they threaten you. When they threaten your life or the people around them have threatened your life, stay out of their face. That protects you too. Because it could go all wrong, a psychopath trying to kill you, and now you done got a murder case. Even if you get off for self-defense, you don't want to have to put this psychopath down. So that's the number one rule. I do support no contact. With that physical no contact. This psychopath does not know where I live. Even if he did, he ain't coming here. He know better. He just know better. So, yeah, freedom. And so it was just interesting to see what could come out of me through calmness and not reacting verbally, what could come out later. And what came out later is the truth from my soul. This is how I feel. This is just how I feel. And it's been, when somebody's been hurting and harming people, women, kids, and men, boys and girls, since they've been a little boy theyself, that's a psychopath. That's much, much more than a narcissist. And you just got to understand it for what it is. So, I did it, y'all. I said it. I can't take it back. I sent it through the text message, y'all. I did it. Freedom. I'm not in bondage. I don't have to always hold my tongue. I did not use one word of profanity. Calling someone a psychopath, y'all, is not profanity. That's what they are. If someone goes to the doctor and they check in at the emergency department and the doctor says, we have a disabled or paralyzed patient here, is that profanity? No, it's not profanity. They are a disabled and paralyzed patient. And so that's all you're doing. Getting that crap and that mess out of your soul and heart. And now, It's done because the psychopath knows that you know what they are now. And you stick to it. You watched it, seen it, and heard it too long. Like I said, since this person been a little boy. And men, it's been like that with some of the female psychopaths that you met in high school, grade school, middle school, whenever you met that female psychopath. This applies to you also. But in this example, I'm talking about a male psychopath. And men, you know I do my videos on this channel about female psychopaths too. I have something to offer for all of y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've been on this exercise bike this entire time. I appreciate y'all. Tune in for more with advanced insight. Thank you. Bye. I appreciate you so much. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.